I hope you've had. We are going to engage a continuation of our Unit 6 after all our preliminary comments. I hope that you are able to make sense of what we are going to do as a top-up to what we've done so far. May I confirm if you can see my slides? I just want to be sure first. Anyone of
Yes,
you
ma'am.
kindly?
Please.
Thank you very much. So we
Yes,
can
please, we can
quickly,
see you.
you can quickly do a revision of a kind on the part that we did earlier, so that those who had 1 or 2 questions that you asked we can mop that up for Unit 6. Madam asked about modus ponens and tollens, the negating, the antecedent, and what have you. It's a good question. We want to help you see that. So last week, when God gave us grace to meet like this, we engaged on the screen I'm projecting, please. We engaged the main distinction that we should make between 2 ways of reasoning. That's 2 types of argument. We looked at one that we call deduction or deductive argument, and then the other one that we call inductive argument. And we said that when we deduce, it means you take the conclusion of your argument from the premises. The conclusion is already entailed in the premises. That is why your conclusion is not different, so to speak, in value from what the premises. So when the premises are assumed to be true, the conclusion would also have to necessarily be true because of the nature of that conclusion. And so I gave some scenarios to help students understand that. And I said, think of the conclusion of a deductive argument as what? A baby who is inside a pregnant woman. Okay, the pregnant woman, which is the premises here, contains inside of that pregnant woman is the conclusion. So if you call the pregnant woman into your room, that is if you assume that the premises were true. If you call pregnant woman, come, she will come out automatically with the baby because the conclusion is already a part of that premise. That is the relationship between the premises and the conclusion of a deductive argument. You can use the orange and the seed scenario. So the seed of the orange is already part of the main orange. That's why when you take the orange home, you have already taken the seed inside the orange. That's deductive argument. So we saw some types of them. We'll go to them shortly. But in contrast, we saw what? Inductive argument, where it is possible for the premises to be true. If we even assumed it to be true at all, we can assume that a premise to be true. And yet, we are not obliged necessarily to accept the conclusion that comes with it as also true. And so we revised premises and conclusion, how to identify them and stuff to help our understanding. Okay. Now, before I even go to the types of arguments, now this is what we said last week. So, and I'm entrenching it now. So, deductive arguments have premises that prove their conclusion. Look at the language. Proof, waterproof. It can't be otherwise. So it guarantees or proves the conclusion. And I think I remember emphasizing that it is premises that prove conclusion. It's not conclusion that proves premises. That is inside out. It's like wearing the shoe first, then you wear the socks on top of the shoe. That's crazy behavior. You wear your socks first, then you wear the shoe on top. It is the premises that offers proof. It's the premises that justifies the conclusion. It's not the conclusion that is justifying the premises. And we are saying that the word proof occurs in what? Deduction, deductive argument. That is how come deductive arguments are topic neutral. If we accepted the premises as true, it will mean that the conclusion must also be true, even if the actual observation of it is not the case. Okay, so we found some funny examples, like all butterflies eat fufu. My mother is a butterfly. It has to mean therefore that she eats fufu. By the logic of it, by deduction. Okay, this one would be what? Valid by modus ponens, but it will not be sound. Why? Because if we observe actually in the world there, butterflies do not eat food, or at least we know that our mothers are not butterflies. Actually speaking, factually, okay? So then this will be valid but not sound. Valid by modus ponens, valid pattern, but not a sound argument. Okay, so back to the top there. We saw, so what I've done so far is to try as much as God gives me grace to show you the distinction between the two types of reasoning, the deductive one and the inductive one. One proves its conclusion. The other only confirms. You see that I've added that word today. The other only confirms. It confirms it. It doesn't prove it. Proof means it couldn't have been otherwise. If the premises are true, the conclusion must necessarily be true already with it. This other one, which is induction, it is possible for the premises to be true, conclusion false. So it's a matter of probability, not certainty. See the words I'm introducing now. One is probability, the other one is certainty. One is proof, the one that is certainty is a proof. The other one is what? A confirmation. If you got that, then we move on to another important thing that we saw. Every argument has only one conclusion. The rest are premises. You should revise how you distinguish argument from all the other types of what? Discourse, narrative, etc. I said all that last week. Then we started with our valid patterns. And I want to help you remember again that if you have an argument that affirms, you know that we are not going to do the whole lecture. I'm just helping you keep key things and I pop up and we are done. Okay. Also as a way of revising for your eye. So obviously we will not be taking the whole lecture again. If you want to hear the lecture proper again, go to the recording, which is still available to you at the announcement tool. Just in case you never knew that there's announcement tool on Sakai, please go and look at it. You will have all the previous recordings for this group. You will have resources as your resource to help you. They are there. They are put there for you. All right. So I said for the types of deductive argument, we started looking at modus ponens, modus tollens, hypothetical syllogism, and disjunctive syllogism. And we said they are all syllogisms because they are two premises leading to a single conclusion, and they are all deductive. So if you have a deductive argument who has two premises and a conclusion, we'll call it what? A syllogism. That's why all the four of them are syllogisms. Then we went further to look at the specific types of valid patterns to help us. The first one was modus ponens, which has another name. What is another name for modus ponens? We agreed that another name for modus ponens is what? Affirming the antecedent. If you are doing modus ponens valid argument, you will affirm the antecedent. Meaning what? So let's practice together. Write this down. If you tell lies, you will not succeed. If you tell lies, you will not succeed. What's the antecedent? I want a chorus answer. Let's use Kofi. If you tell lies, you will not succeed. What is the antecedent of this statement? I want a chorus answer, please.
You will not succeed.
Succeed.
Kofi tells lies.
Kofi what?
Kofi tells lies.
Very good. So Kofi tells lies is the antecedent. Why? How do you know that? I'm sure my friends looked at the if. The word if points to what? The antecedent. So we just put in a variable, Kofi, to complete our thing. So if I say, if you tell lies, then you will not succeed. Our antecedent is X tells lies. Our consequent is what? X does not succeed. This not, which is inside, was already part of what is given to us. We didn't put a not there. Okay? It's a given. That's a given generalization. If you tell lies, then you will not succeed. Now we know our antecedent, X tells lies. Our consequent, X will not succeed. X does not succeed. X shall not succeed. We are not interested in the tenses, we are interested in the logic. So it's the negation we are focused on. Now, if we got the two, you know, antecedent and consequent, then what? Then by modus ponens validity, we would say on the screen now, let me project to the screen. We'll say that on the screen, please, I want to help you revise well strategically. Where is it? So we'll look at the valid ones here. This is what we said. If you tell lies, then you will not succeed. The next premise must say, Kofi tells lies. Therefore, Kofi will not succeed. We are doing this pattern, same pattern. Modus ponens, affirming the antecedent. We brought the antecedent next, and we concluded with what? The consequent. Just as it was given to us. If it came with a negation, we repeat the negation. If it came positive, we repeat it. We didn't change anything's truth value. So the original was, if you tell lies, you will not succeed. Kofi told a lie. Kofi tells lies. Kofi shall tell a lie. All of them represent the antecedent. Therefore, Kofi will not succeed. Full stop. That's modus ponens. Valid argument, also called affirming the antecedent. Now, the wrong way of doing modus ponens, I say the wrong way because it is trying to affirm, but it doesn't affirm the antecedent. Take note and be reminded again, we said that it is the second premise that names the whole thing. So we are not looking at conclusion when we are naming the argument. That's why modus ponens on the screen now, this one, we call it affirming the antecedent. After all, when we finish affirming the antecedent in the premises, we concluded by also affirming the consequent. Yes, but that's in the conclusion. So the name is not focusing on the conclusion, it focuses on the premises, the second premise after the generalization. Okay. Therefore, this is called affirming the antecedent. Now, the wrong way of doing that is to say, if you tell lies, then you will not succeed. The same starting point. Then you go and say, Kofi did not succeed. Therefore, you are concluding that Kofi tells lies. Remember this. I don't want to do a whole lecture, so I've given you a picture of what we did last week. If you lie, then not succeed. The consequence is not succeed. That's right. Okay? Kofi will not succeed. The full thing. When I ask you consequence, write the whole statement, not a fragment. So if you tell lie, then you will not succeed. Now, if you go and say Kofi did not succeed, what you have just done is to bring that consequent as it was given to you first. You are affirming the consequent. If you therefore conclude, therefore Kofi told lies, it will be invalid. My lady who asked the question, I think it was forgotten, but I hope you are picking at least for the opponents. Get the main one, my sister. Okay, so that the build-up will not confuse you. So modus ponens is the simplest one. Yes, it's the last. The last, I hope you are following. We just did modus ponens, the valid one. And I'm taking you through the, very good. I'm taking you through the invalid one, which is also trying to affirm. You see, that's why people want to call it modus ponens fallacy. That's not correct. That's not the name. It's wrong. The name is the fallacy of affirming the antecedent. I'm so sorry. The fallacy of affirming the consequent. The consequent. When you affirm the antecedent, that one is valid. You understand? Now we can move. You see that in this example, I put in negations to help you see that when we say affirm, it just means bring it as it was given. So if it originally contained negations and you bring it, you haven't done anything. It's not your fault. You just did what you have been instructed to. Now, what if I had said, if you do not study, you will not pass? This is still a conditional statement, already opened out as an if then. It could have come as a universal, we said that already. Then you would now open it up. But this is already even an if then statement, clearly showing you your antecedent and consequent. Okay, so if you do not study, you may want to write it down there. Please write it down. If you do not study, first note, then you will not pass. Second note, you are still doing modus ponens, the first valid form, helping you mop up. The difference with this conditional is that both the antecedent and consequent are negated. They come with negations in them, but the rule doesn't change in your note. The rule doesn't change. So just apply the rule you know. How do you develop it using Kofi? Kofi did not study. Why? Because that's the antecedent. If you do not study, then you will not pass. So I take my Kofi did not study, I put that first. This not, am I the one who introduced it? No, it was given. It's part of what is originally given. Therefore, Kofi will not pass. Consequent is your conclusion. You are done. It's valid by modus ponens. Now, I could have said all females like marriage, whatever, you know. And my power there, all females like marriage. My husband is a female. See what I'm saying? Intentionally trying to check your logical abilities. Don't get distracted by the actuality. Look at the logic first, because you are doing deduction. Topic neutral. So all females like marriage. If I continue by saying my husband is a female, what valid conclusion will follow by modus ponens? No, I've even given you the answer. But I could have said, what is the valid conclusion to draw from this? And by which pattern of validity was it? All females like marriage. Then I added, my husband is a female. What does it mean? Conclusion, all of us.
He likes marriage.
Your husband likes
My
marriage.
husband likes marriage.
My husband likes marriage.
My husband likes
This will be valid. Yes. Thank you very much. This will be valid. Which pattern will it be? Is it Paul or Timothy?
Paul.
Please, Paul.
It's Paul.
It's Paul.
Modus ponens. Okay. If you are new, we just mean modus ponens. But because of the ponens and tollens and the distance and sometimes the sound, if you don't clarify, then people are hearing tollens when you were trying to say ponens. So when we say Paul, yeah, Paul and Timothy, I think there's clarity. So we mean modus ponens. This is valid. Now see, if I had said females like marriage, my husband likes marriage, therefore he's female. How will you assess that? Put up your hand if you know. I say it again. Females like marriage. My husband likes marriage, therefore he's female. What will be your critical assessment of it? If I say critically assess this based on our discussions of Unit 6.
fallacy
Let me
fallacy in answering. Fallacy in affirming the
Yes, don't worry, it's correct. Go ahead. Yes, so this is a fallacy. Which fallacy is that? Is that fallacy that is doing what? Affirming the what?
in antecedent.
Antecedent. No.
The question.
Who affirming?
So it's
My sister, do you see that? My sister, do you see that? The word is what they are. Very good. I also heard moments ago, so I understand. Now, when you affirm the antecedent, it will be valid. So this one is like fallacy that is affirming consequent. Well done. So we will now be able to do an assessment. When you hear people speaking, oh, if he has not been caught stealing before, then he couldn't have been the thief. This one, that now when you are setting, you can do an assessment of it. But the fact that this antecedent doesn't mean this. That is when you are applying critical thinking. So we are giving you tools of reasoning. Okay, we have done the first one. So you know modus ponens very well. And you even know its fallacy very well. Now, if you don't get this one, don't let me continue with the revision, because if I continue, you'll get confused. So let me take any questions that you still have on modus ponens. Then we can now go to tollens, which does something different. Look at the name, it's Timothy. It's not Paul. So they are all valid, but their graces are different. So let me take questions on modus ponens if there is any. Whether the person used an antecedent that is negated or a consequent or whatever, the rule is the same. I tell you, dear friend, the rule is the same. Just rule back. Yes, Auntie, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. You called me. Please go ahead with your question. Then I move quickly. Oh, Ma, that's the name I see there. Ma. Okay, Ma is sorted. Ma, when your question comes, then you ask me. So I'll move now to modus ponens revision. We are revising to build our confidence now to face hypothetical syllogism and disjunctive syllogism, which are the easiest. They are very easy. The tricky ones are modus ponens and tollens. Very, very confusing. So if you get them, then tollens and, then hypo and disjunctive, even their main connective can give you a clue. So we'll kill them in no time. Okay, but these two are the modus. They are the ones we must get a grip of. So we are going to tollens revision now. Now, when we did modus tollens last week, we said modus tollens and modus ponens both have the same starting point. That's why they are all modus. They have only one universal statement. The rest are particular. So when we finish with all heavy smokers have lunch issues, the next thing we say is Kofi has answered. Okay, a particular person now. Therefore, he has answered. So there's only one generalization. Then the rest, or one conditional statement. Then the rest follow. That's modus. Whether ponens or tollens, they have that. So how do you distinguish tollens from ponens? Well, for tollens, which is Timothy, you also negate the antecedent and consequent that have been put together. In each instance, before you use them, you will negate. And I said negation means turn the original upside down. So we went through those slides too, and quickly I'll take you back to that slide that talks about negation. If the original is negative, its negation will be positive. So on the screen now, a note on interpreting negation. If the original statement is a negation, then its negation will be positive and vice versa. So if the original is positive, its negation will be negative. So if I gave you a statement which said, Kofi is a student, and I say, take that as the original, then if you want to negate Kofi is a student, it will become Kofi is not a student. However, if I give you an original statement which said Kofi is not a student, I said take that as true. Kofi is not a student as true. Then if you work with it, the negation of Kofi is not a student will become Kofi is a student. Know that as a rule of thumb. You are working with negations because as for tollens, you negate. It's not like ponens, Paul, where you just pick the original antecedent first and conclude with the consequent. That was ponens. We have left that time. Old Testament. We are now in New Testament. Timothy. How do you go about it? You must know negations. Otherwise, you cannot do modus tollens well. Okay, so I have gone back to help you remember. Then now we went ahead and we said, what should you do when you are doing modus tollens? Negate, look at your screen, please. You should always negate the consequence. So let me start first with a conditional statement. So you have less work to do. When you grab the concept, then I do the inversals with you to remember. Okay. Now, if I said the same examples we used when we did ponens, we said, if you study, then you will pass. What is the consequence of this statement? Listen to what I said before you answer. I intentionally trick you sometimes so that you'll be alert. So if you study, then you will pass. My question is, what is the consequence of this statement? And let's use Kofi for uniform answer. You can give me chorus answers. Consequent. If you study, then you will pass.
Kofi will pass. So therefore, it didn't pass.
I don't like therefore or if anything, okay? Respectfully, I just want the consequence. So Kofi did what?
Kofi will pass.
Kofi passed. Very good. If you say anything Kofi studied, you are talking antecedent. You see that? That is a different sickness. That will mean that not that you don't know modus tollens, so it means you don't understand antecedent and consequent. So you would have to revise that. Okay, so here we are only opening out the given conditional, so we can know what antecedent is and what consequent is. To do what? So we can work with it, because the work we are going to do says negate consequent. When we did ponens, it says affirm antecedent. So if I don't know antecedent and consequent, I'm teaching you how to do cake. I'm not at home. You want to or something, chose that something. You want to surprise your husband. Then you call mommy at home. Mommy, today I'm trying to teach that you taught me, but I've forgotten which one goes in after the oku. And she says, okay, take the dawadawa. Spice it with it. If you don't know dawadawa, they say take dawadawa. You go and take then put ojima, the sweet pepper. Will you get the same effect? No, the person is telling you the right thing, but if you don't know what they are asking you to pick, your TZ won't come out well. The cake will be some way. So that is why I take my time to show you antecedent, consequent. Don't take them for granted. You have to learn them, fingertips like that. So you will be an expert, so much so that when others come in this year, you can meet your colleagues in the room and say, okay, I think it is fine. I can help you with the model students. And you work them through it nicely because you've got a grasp of it. Then you can also use them in your everyday life. Okay, so I said you must know tolerance and you must know what? Excuse me, you must know antecedent and consequent. If you got that, then let's discuss this together. Look at it. Now that you know your consequent, the rule says negate the consequent first. That's why that valid pattern modus tollens is called negating the consequent. So if I say if you study, then you will pass. We want to do modus tollens now using Kofi. What we say next will be Kofi did not study. Kofi did not study because the original is what? Hey, it's you. If we study, then you will pass. We say what? Kofi did not pass. We bring our consequent first, and then we negate it. Then we conclude by what? Negating the antecedent. So I say it again so that it's clear. If you study, then you will pass. You are doing modus tollens now. If you study, then you will pass. Kofi did not pass. Therefore, he did not study. That's valid. Modus tollens. Just like what you see on your screen. All mangoes are fruits. If X is a mango, then X is a fruit. What's the next premise? This thing is not a fruit, a negation of the consequent. Okay. Denying the consequent, has it. Therefore, this thing is not a mango. It's valid by modus tollens. One more example. Still using antecedent and consequent that do not have any negation in them. So you understand first, then I'll increase the level of difficulty a little, confuse you small, okay? So let's say if I said, if you do, if you have a pen, like that, if you have a pen, then you will, if you have a pen, then you will pass. I don't even know. I want a very simple example. So if you have a pen, then you will pass. Let's do tollens. Kofi did not pass Yabiu. Why? Because Kofi did not have a pen. It's also valid. I hope you got those. Very good. Now we are going to do the same tollens, but we are going to increase the confusion a little from the starting point. So write it down. Please write wherever you are. If you can't, take a pen and write or type it on your laptop. Do it, friends. Okay. Let's do this one. So if you tell lies, remember, if you tell lies, you will not succeed. We use that for the opponents. So we are going to use the same thing. If you tell lies, then you will not succeed. Antecedent, X tells lies. Consequent, the given one, X will not succeed. That is what was given in Yanomni Christo. If you tell lies, then you will not succeed. So your antecedent is positive, But look at your consequent. You will not succeed. That not there is given to you. You didn't put it there. Now that you have the raw material, they tell you develop a modus tollens valid argument. From that, what do? It means the consequent must come first, negated. Then you end or you conclude with the antecedent, also what? Negated. And we learned that if the original is negative, then its negation will be positive. And if the original is positive, then its negation will be negative. That is what negation means. Turn it upside down. Deny it. So if you tell lies, then you will not succeed. To do modus tollens, we say Kofi succeeded or Kofi succeeds. Therefore, Kofi does not tell lies. Look on your paper. You see that is valid. I've done modus tollens. What did I do? I brought the negation of the consequent first. So if the original said Kofi will not succeed, then when I bring it to do a Kofi succeeds, opposite, I take out the not. Then the antecedent, which is my conclusion now, is what? Therefore, Kofi did not lie. I've introduced the not. The given didn't have a not. So not has turned them upside down. And that is how come we have this pattern. Why are we having this pattern? Because the original came with what? Antecedent positive, consequent negative. So if you negate it, it will come with one having a not, the other doesn't have a not. But you are still negated, modus tollens. Then I see, are you with me? Yeah, the reason I'm taking time with this one part. We've done it already. Okay. Yes. Okay. So let us do one more where the one is negative, the other is positive from the start. And we are going to do tollens together. Then I'll ask someone to answer. Okay. What if I said, if you do not steal? See what I'm doing? I've put the negation now at the antecedent. If you do not steal, when we are there, you don't steal, you go to heaven. I want a positive consequence. That's all. Okay. So if you do not steal, you will go to heaven. Tollens using Kofi. Someone do that for me. Put up your hand quickly. If you put up your hand, it will help us because some are still trying to settle it in so that we don't do chorus now. Okay. So let me take Albert Dapo. Albert, go ahead.
Okay. Kofi do not tell. Hello.
If listen to the antecedent and consequent, we are doing modus tollens. Which one should come first?
Yeah.
Consequence should come first.
Consequence. Okay.
Yes.
So don't miss the step. If you bring the antecedent first, you will be wrong, and we are going to do that. So if you do not steal, so when we are there, listen please. If you do not steal, you will go to heaven. We are doing modus tollens. Which one should be our starting point? Antecedent or consequent? All of us.
Consequent.
Consequent. Looking at consequent. Very good. Now, yes, please. And if you bring the consequent, then you negate it. So the first thing you should look out for is, am I affirming antecedent to do modus ponens, or I am negating consequent to do modus tollens? You have to psych yourself to do that. That's why when you do obey rules, we want to insist that you do, because the generation we have currently, we don't like rules. Male and female, we say we don't like. Lecture student, we don't like. Everything, we are bridging all the gaps. So as for the thinking patterns, you cannot do that with your password when you are going to access money at your ATM. People like money, so I like to use that example. We don't do that. A little money devotion, you say, oh, the life we have now, you can't do that. So anytime you have, let's fast a little, no, sometimes that time, everything we are trying to manage it and explain and mediate and this. Deduction does not accommodate that. It's a rule-bound system, like your password, like your key. You can say, oh, these two keys look alike, so I can use the other one. You take my own. You will stand outside and the rain will beat you and mosquitoes will chew up. The door will not open. Doesn't understand mediation. Okay, so I want you to get the rules. Is rule-bound deduction, antecedent, then consequent. You want to do ponens, antecedent next, consequent last, as it was given to you, valid. Tollens. If you want to do tollens, antecedent, then consequent. What next? Consequent, but that this time what? Negated. Therefore, antecedent negated. Finish. That's the rule. Don't work it anywhere else. Otherwise, you get it wrong. So our example said, if you do not steal, then you go to heaven. We are there, I'll heaven. Or Jew, though I heaven. I've forgotten the other one. Anybody help us? I want another version. Now the point then is, I want to do modus tollens. What should I do next? The going to heaven becomes my priority right after the general statement. So I take Kofi will go to heaven. But remember, I am supposed to negate it. So if the original there is S will go to heaven, then the negation will be what? S will not go. Kofi will not go to heaven. Therefore, antecedent. The antecedent to whatever is given there, I negate it. So if the original says, if you do not steal, then the negation will be what? S steals. That's all. So to run it all from beginning to end, it will be, if you do not steal, then you go to heaven. Kofi will not go to heaven. It means Kofi steals, full stop. Modus tollens. Very good. Now the challenge or the fallacy that is trying to do modus tollens but doesn't do it well is the one we called the fallacy. I'm showing you some slides on fallacy. Look on the screen, please. The fallacy of what? Denying or what? Negating the antecedent. I told you that the correct one doesn't negate the antecedent. See? You don't negate the antecedent. There's it on your screen now. If you negate the antecedent, you will commit a fallacy. Because as for antecedent, it is affirmed to create what? Modus ponens. Good. So this fallacy is negating or denying. But instead of denying the conceit first in the premises, so that it will be valid by modus tollens, it doesn't do that. It denies the antecedent rather, so that this is straightforward. If you study, then you will pass. The person says, look at it, follow me. If you study antecedent, then you will pass. Pass is the consequent. Okay, that statement is the consequent. If you study, then you pass. Then the person tells you, Kofi did not study. Therefore, he's concluding that Kofi will not pass. Who told you that? Kofi could take bribe. Kofi may be the chachiko of the lecture. God forbid him. You see, there are many ways of getting to passing. So if I say, if you do not study, you will not pass. I haven't said that if you do not pass, it means you have not studied. They are not the same. Because I showed you last week extensively, and the recording is there for those who didn't engage it. Go and engage and refresh your memory. If I say all lecturers are corrupt, it doesn't mean all corrupt people are lecturers. No, they are not the same. One is antecedent, one is consequent. The antecedent is a subset of the consequent. The consequent is a big set. Those of you who do maths. So one is inside the other. That is why it is possible for some other set to be inside that consequent as well. So that if I said all lecturers are corrupt, it's possible for all politicians to also be corrupt. They are all inside the set of corruption, but lecturers and politicians are not the same. It's enough. I don't want to do the lecture again. So if you deny the antecedent, you cannot necessarily conclude with what? A denial of the consequent. No. Therefore, if I say, if you do not study, there comes the confusion from the starting point, but just follow the rule, follow the leader, you know, that kind of stuff. Just go by the rule, you know, for tollens. As whatever the starting point is, you will get to the conclusion and it will be valid. So if I say, if you do not study, then you will pass. If you do not study, see what I said. So when you pass, if you do not study, you will pass. Antecedent. You do not study. That is what was given. Consequent, you will pass. Now, if I want to do tolerance and I want to do it validly, see, back to tolerance, I'll say Kofi did not pass. What about that? I just negated the consequent. Therefore, Kofi studied. Be careful not to go and say, oh, but actually, if people study, they pass. We are not doing actuality. We are doing logic. We are looking at the variables, not what actually happens there, out there. All right. So where you now simple example so that we can do the last two. So if you study, then you will pass. The fallacy that we call denying the antecedent is this, where you say, if you study, then you will pass. Next friend is, if we did not study, what did we do? Just negated the antecedent right after the general statement. If we did not study, therefore we conclude he will not pass. That is a fallacy called the fallacy of denying the antecedent. Brothers and sisters in the Lord, on that note, I just crucified modus tollens. Any questions on that also? Let's see if there are hands up. Because there are 9 hands up, I won't be able to tell whose own is a question now. If everyone could put their hands down, then I'll take, thank you very much, and I'll take those that have a question. I see Marvelous, Delali. Marvelous, is yours a question? I see Clement. I see Eddie Louis, Jehoshaphat, Anastasia. Quickly, we have 2 more to go, but I want to teach patiently. I don't rush when I'm teaching. So we will do it. But if it's a question, then kindly unmute and ask your question. I see Peggy. I see Daniela Sanchez, and the last hand is still up. If there are questions, 6 hands up. Can you unmute and ask? If it is not a question, then would you respectfully drop your hand? Daniel Asante, you want to talk first before I take the last? Or the last is speaking
Yes,
now.
madam.
Go ahead. Whichever way. Daniel, go ahead.
Yes, madam.
Hey.
Okay. So please, is it always that the antecedent comes first, then the consequence is at the last?
That's the rule, sir. Yes, that's the rule. If you are doing modus ponens, that's the rule. Like your ATM pin that they give you, the pin they give you at the bank. When they give it to you, you don't ask the woman that. So every time when I go to the ATM, should I key in 2211? That's the pin. That's what unlocks your money. If you are doing modus ponens, that is what you should use. If you change it, you won't get your money. In fact, after a while, they will hijack your card, capture it like that. How I stand it. Your own money inside your own money. You see that? So that's the rule. If it is modus ponens, affirm the antecedent, conclude with an affirmation of the consequent. That's okay. If
madam,
it's tollens, deny the consequent before the antecedent. Yes, sir.
Please,
Sorry.
I'm not talking about either is modus ponens. I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. Which one are you talking about? Could you speak up just a little bit more so I can hear you?
Okay.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes. Maybe if they give you that if you tell lies, then you will not succeed.
Yes.
Yes, I'm not talking.
What has it done?
Yeah, I'm not.
What has it done? Yeah.
Yeah. So is it that always that if you tell lies, that comes first is the antecedent, and you will not succeed is the.
Oh, so this is a different sickness. Determining the antecedent. The if clause is that. Have you gone through your slides? Have you, my friend? Before I start pouring fire off this thing on you, because they are there. Look at how comprehensive. The slides I gave you are very comprehensive, and yet by grace they are not too many, so that you don't have to do too much. Look on your screen now. My friend who asked me the question. See, you can clearly determine the antecedent and the consequent of a statement when written as a conditional if-then statement. Sister read it last week. Example, if X is a man, then X is a bully. The antecedent is what? X is a man. The consequence is X is a bully. How do you know that? One is a condition. If this, then that will follow. So the if clause, I didn't go ahead to tell you that. See, is the antecedent. What's the next question? Thank you, sir. What's the next question? The last one. Go ahead.
Please, Doc, please, if the conditional is, if you do not steal, you will not go to heaven. Please, would the fallacy be Kofi steals? Therefore, Kofi will not go to heaven.
It depends on which fallacy you want to commit, because this is the starting point. So let's do it together. Let's do it together. So if you do not steal, or which one? Which one do you? How did you say? Did you say the way I said it?
If you do not steal, you will not go. You will go to heaven. Sorry.
Okay, so if you do not steal, then you will go to heaven. Antecedent came negated. consequent is positive. If we want to do modus ponens, we'll do antecedent as it was given to us first. We conclude with consequent as it was given to us. Finito. If we want to do modus tollens, we will bring the consequent as it was given to us first, but this time negated. Then we take the antecedent as it was given to us as our conclusion, but this time what? Negated. That's my answer. Does it help?
Doc, please, I want to.
You want me to give you fish. I want to teach you how to fish. That's the challenge with students. The reason why I'm doing that is, so let's use our example. If you do not tell lies, then you will go to heaven. If I want to do tolerance, what should I say next? The last one. Use Kofi.
Kofi didn't go to heaven.
Yes.
Therefore, Kofi tells or like tells like or something like that.
That's all. You see? So you are applying this one, you bring the consequent first. Negated. Then you end with the antecedent. Also negated. That's what your friend just did. Now, if the person wants to commit the fallacy of what? Yes. Denying the antecedent. Yes. I don't want the class getting confused. We are close to 300 now. But so those who listen, and if you repeat the opposite plenty, then they get confused. Don't listen to this part of the video. But I want to help the last because the rule is there, but she wants me to give her answers, specific answers. Now the last, listen. You said if you do not tell lies, then you go to heaven. If you now come and say, Kofi told lies, I am bringing the antecedent first. Negated, yes. But were we told to negate antecedent? No. Because I just said Kofi tells lies. Remember the antecedent said, if you do not tell lies. What we are saying now says Kofi tells lies. So I'm denying the antecedent first. Then I come and conclude, therefore, Kofi will not go to heaven. This is the fallacy that is negating the antecedent.
Okay.
Instead of doing what Tollens told us. And I didn't want to have to do that for you. I wanted you to do it after all the examples. Then you are able to answer your own question. Okay, thank you very much, Velasi. Now we can move on to the third easy, straightforward, valid pattern called hypothetical syllogism. Take note, hypothetical syllogism on the screen now has all three statements. Premises plus conclusion are all what? Universals. Look on your screen. All these are these. All these are these. They were all these are these. That is the first sign. Watch. So they are universals throughout. All. You see that? When we did all the modus scopes, it was only the first premise that comes, or we had only
on there.
Please. Can anybody see my screen that says valid deductive forms continued?
Yes, madam.
Yes.
My dear friend, you see the thing I told you. So you shouldn't have said it is not showing on the screen. That's wrong language. You see, I cannot see it. I cannot see it. It's different from it is not there. One is a metaphysical claim. The other one is a perception issue. All right, so let's go on. Touch your screen a little here and there, okay? But I'm putting the recording together for you, so you're always able to access it. I was just telling the class that when you see all mangoes are fruits, I'm sorry, a hypothetical syllogism. Look at this example. To capture it nicely for you. They are all. Okay? That is the sign. So that if you are under pressure in an exam, you are at least able to do elimination. You take some things out. If I said identify which of the following say, for example, it's hypothetical syllogism, and then we give you 4 different passages. Some of them, even at a glance, without any extra work, you know that it cannot be hypothetical because it doesn't have this pattern of what? All, or. Remember that in place of all, or, you could see if then, because universal statements are themselves what? Conditionals. We have done that. Sometimes the universal is what? A negation, and I have to remind you of that. Remember, let me just take you there. I may forget. Very important. Look on your screen now. Universal negations, I think we worked ourselves through. If I say no man is perfect, it's a universal statement, just like all men are perfect. Just that one is a universal affirmative, positive. The other one is universal universal negative. I said that. So if I say no man is perfect, how do you open it out to see the X, the antecedent one, and then the consequence? When we said all metals expand when heated, we just say if X is a metal, then X will expand when heated. We went through that to help you know your antecedent and consequence. Easy. All metals expand when heated. If X is a metal, then it will expand when heated. Easy. But what about if I said no metal expand when heated, or no man is perfect, or no cats are dogs? This one is a universal negation. How do you open it out? Easy. So you have your raw material, the antecedent and consequence. We said do it like you would have done all metals expand when heated. However, because this one has a not, put the negation, this universal negation, put it in the consequent. So if I say no cats are dogs on your screen now, please respectfully, I'm just saying if X is a cat, then X is not a dog. The negation comes to the consequent. Okay, no cats are dogs. If X is a cat, then X is not a dog. Now you have your antecedent and consequent ready to work. Miracles, whichever miracle you want to work. Okay, so you could also have a hypothetical syllogism that didn't have all. That's the point that took me back there. You could have none, or no man is this, no cat is this. It is still universals throughout. That's the first clue. Universals in the premises, universal also in the conclusion. Every one of the three statements will be universals or conditionals, whether affirmative or negative. You got that? That's one clue. Then C, a good hypothetical syllogism will have this. C, all mangoes are fruits. Watch. Here, the fruit side is your consequent part. See that? The next statement in the premises will have the fruit as what? Antecedent. We are trying to create a link. So the antecedent is the consequent in the second premise. So that becomes the barrier, the bridge on which you can now conclude from the beginning here to the end. So what? Look at what is going on. All mangoes are fruits. All fruits are something else, edible. See, then you can conclude therefore all mangoes are edible. Finito. All women like rich men. All who like rich men succeed. Bad influence. Don't mind me. All women like rich men. All who like rich men succeed. Therefore, all women succeed. Another example. All A's are B's, whatever they represent. Okay, and all B's are C's. Then it will mean that all A's are C's. So picture it now, Venn diagram, three sets. They are all universal, so they are sets throughout. All A's circle are B's. It means all circles are inside the triangle. So the circle, the set of circles is inside the triangle. That's what I've represented. Then all B's are themselves C's. Now this triangle is itself inside a big square. Wouldn't it then mean that the circle is already in the big square? Yes. So all A's are B's and all B's are C's. Then it means all A's are C's. Finito. That's hypothetical syllogism. Finished. So if you study, then you will pass. If you pass, we will travel to Dubai. Then it means if you study, we will travel to Dubai. Finished. Friends tell the truth. Those who tell the truth are not liked. Therefore, friends are not liked. Don't know the example to give you, but that's hypothetical syllogism. Nothing much. Okay, so let's go there. Look on your screen now. Same thing is what I put there. All mangoes are fruit. The left side is valid. It doesn't have any other name, so less trouble for you. Okay. All mangoes are fruit. All fruits are edible. So it will follow that all mangoes are edible. Full stop. Now, use these three. I could give you three variables and ask you to create a valid hypothetical syllogism from it. You should be able to do it. Three variables, three sets, A, B, and C. Then I say create a valid hypothetical syllogism from it. Someone can say all B's are C's, all C's are A's. It will follow therefore that all B's are A's, valid. Another person may say all C's are B's and all B's are A's. It will follow therefore that all C's are A's. The starting point to the end. That's how you do it. Now, someone read this for me. I want to take water. I'm tired. So someone read hypothetical syllogism there. And then let's see the false one quickly. Marvelous and Clement. Your hands are. Who can read for me? Ramadobe. Who is reading? Let's take the Ramadobe. Ira, go ahead.
Hypothetical syllogism.
Good.
All mangoes are fruits.
Yes.
All fruits are edible. So all mangoes are edible.
You get the pattern now, my dear friends. So we move from all, see, mangoes are fruits, then to fruits are edible, and we ended therefore saying that all mangoes, the starting point to the end, are edible. That's valid. It will be wrong. See the false hypothetical syllogism, that is the imitator, the fake one, not the original dollar note. See, what does it do? It starts, all mangoes are fruits, then it leaves the fruits there and comes to say all bananas are also fruits. Something else comes in, see? So you conclude therefore all mangoes are bananas, jumping the wall, see? It doesn't go the Z way, where you create a Z with a pattern. This one says all mangoes are fruits. Now the fruit that is the consequent here, that is ending here, should begin the next one. That is the pattern called module X, hypothetical syllogism. Not when you say all mangoes are fruit, all bananas are also fruit. So we should conclude that all mangoes are bananas. No, sir. All pastors go to the club. All bouncers also go to the club. Therefore, all pastors are bouncers. No, sir. The fact that two antecedent issues converge at the same consequence doesn't mean they are the same. It's a false hypothetical syllogism. But if I had said all mangoes are fruit, watch. Then I said all fruits are bananas. I say it again. See the starting point. I said all mangoes are fruit. Then the next premise says all fruits are bananas. Then what? Then all mangoes will be bananas. Validly. Just that it will not be sound. That's hypothetical syllogism. Any question? All right. Then which one would we call? Hey, Marvelous, is your hand up? Okay, thank you. Yo, sorry about that. Let me mute you so that you don't disturb. The last one, which is the straightforward one. I told you these ones are not the modus friends that are tough. The last one then will be disjunctive syllogism from the compound called disjunction. If you do philosophy proper, you do elements of formal logic. And you know that just like in math, we have addition, subtraction, multiplication, stuff like that. In logic, we have operational science called conditional, disjunction, negation, what have you. But that cannot be your headache. See? So we just want you to know that for this valid pattern, watch, the main connective there is a disjunction. It saves you the trouble of thinking plenty. It's a disjunction, either or. So far, all the reasoning we've done, you never saw or heard either or in anything. It's always if then. That's conditional. But this particular one, the last one we studied, has the main connective we are dealing with is what? A disjunction. So it's like we're doing division all this while. Then all of a sudden we have started doing multiplication. It saves you the headache of having to try to figure out which valid pattern it is. So what's the pattern of disjunctive syllogism? The cheapest one, and I always leave it for last. Either you study or, okay, let's use the one on the screen. You either save and backlist or standard. The next premise then says what? Not, take note, not backlist. Then it has to be standard. Or not standard. Then the conclusion can be what? Backlist. If you were plotting on a Venn diagram, again, you would do a joint set that has an intersection. Say a circle and a square, but the intersection means there's a blend. Oh, that's disjunctive syllogism. But don't worry your head so over it. You see that where there is a mixture, where there is a joint, when you are pulling the circle bit of your joint set, it will pull along some square. And when you are pulling the square side, it will pull along some circle. So because of the possibility of inclusive disjunction, when you want to do a correct disjunctive syllogism, listen please friends, it is A, you either say that Barclays or Stanchart. So the pattern is what? A or B. That's the starting point. The next premise must say not A. Then you can conclude B. Or you could go the other way. A or B, not B. Then you can conclude A. What shouldn't you do? The mistake is to say that A or B. A, therefore we should say it cannot be B. Where you put the negation to the conclusion. That's not valid. Because I could have two accounts. So think of it. I save at Barclays or Stanchart. Then you say Barclays. Therefore, we should conclude that not Stanchart. That is logically sick. I could have two accounts. There is an inclusive sense of disjunction that can be at play here. Okay, that is why the valid pattern is simply what? A or B, not one of them. Then you can conclude the other one. Did I put a slide on that? Let me see. And then we assume that. No, I didn't bother, but I straightforward. So for disjunctive syllogism, how do you say it? Look, where is it? Let's see. Yeah. There are certain slides that have, or content that you read that has some different names that you can give to it. Let the textbook guide you. We will not stress you if the thing is not in the textbook. Because this is content that is properly opened out in philosophy. You can see a method of agreement labeled as a common thread fallacy or stuff like that. When you see those, don't get yourself worked up. That some of the slides or some of the content from some lectures are different. Let the textbook guide you. Okay, they are not different. They are just additions. Like the way I'm teaching, I've mentioned conditional disjunction. You see, perhaps you may not see it in the textbook. Perhaps, okay. It shouldn't stress you. Just know the main line as guided by the course outline, and then finished by what the textbook, and then we throw light on it to let you understand. We will not examine you on things that are not in the textbook, even if I talked about it here. That will not be fair to the student body because of the different groupings we have. Okay, so I give you that assurance just to put your mind at rest. Therefore, what have we done so far? The rest of the content has been covered. You know, denying the antecedent. Hypothetical syllogism. The first one would say all x's are y's, then all z's are also y's. Therefore, we should conclude that all x are z's. Fallacy. You have seen that. This is the two together on the screen. I'm walking you through. Let's make sure we have covered everything. See, we know validity versus soundness. So sometimes the argument is valid, but the premises are not true. So we say it is valid but not sound. But look at this one. If it is sound, then the premises must all be true. After, first of all, it has been valid. That is the end of our slides. Someone will say, please go through it again. I think you left something. See on the screen now. See, I've done this. I've done all this particular versus general from even how I've explained hypothetical syllogism to you. See that it deals with general statement throughout. It doesn't deal with particular statement. So when a statement has a finite reference class, as the subject is specific, dealing with a specific thing. Kofi, Kwame, look on your slide, I put it all there. All the women in this class have done so and so and so. I'm dealing with a particular statement. All the women, don't let them all deceive you. The women, all the women. Okay. So it is a specific group, countable. You can finish counting. See, these are how they on your screen now. Particular versus that man is a bully versus men are bully. Look at it. If one is particular, the reference class, the subject, right? Then the predicate class, or what you are saying about it is these are the things I'm adding. It's not anything you see again in this 7. Okay. So we know that, see on your screen, universal or law-like generalization, you know universals, because you know that conditionals are also universals. Where you leave some of the members out in that universal set, and we call it a statistical generalization. See on your screen now, some men are bullies. The reference class is still men, infinite. You will never finish counting. But inside that set, you make exemptions. So most Ghanaians are hospitable. 2 out of 10 women have done so. So the reference class is 2 women. You just qualified it with an exception. So it's a statistical generalization. You see so many examples. I reference page 191 to help you. See, even describe what they are. You know all these. Look on your screen now. Universals being affirmative or negative. We are using them. So you already know it. You just need to be told that you know it and be ready to receive. So alcoholics are womanizers. It's a universal affirmative. If X is an alcoholic, then X is a womanizer to help you see your antecedent and consequence. Yeah, see, then we open them up. All I've said is on the screen. See, my friend's question took us to the revision of antecedent and consequent again, which you see there. See universal negations without it. Then we reminded of ourselves of what syllogisms are. You see that I didn't mention enthymeme. I have not said it. The word enthymeme, because you have to do your own work as well. Where you have one given premise, then you conclude and ask the class, introduce the hidden premise. I started by saying, all friends tell the truth. Then I conclude, therefore, Kofi tells the truth. What's the hidden premise? The hidden premise would be what? Kofi is a friend. All friends tell the truth. Therefore, Kofi tells the truth. What have I hidden? I've hidden Kofi is a friend. That is what led me to the conclusion. Therefore, Kofi tells the truth. What valid pattern is this? Modus ponens. By her practice, you know that. Now, when you give just one premise like this, and then you conclude and hide one of the premises for us to detect, we say you have given an example of what? An enthymeme. Felt as if you are spelling die. You have to find that in your textbook and mop up. Okay, so enthymeme just came. We have seen the valid deductive forms, modus ponens, modus tollens, hypothetical syllogism, disjunctive syllogism. Gone through the fallacies that try to do these. Okay, I see Clement's hand. Clement, we'll take your question in a moment. I want to wrap up. Okay, all the fallacies that pretend to be like them with examples using variables now for you to see why it is topic neutral. Then even where I ask you to do a comparison of the two. Okay, ENTHI, N die, then meme, MEME, enthymeme. Okay, that's the word describing a valid argument with one of the premises suppressed or hidden. You hide it. Okay. Then we just saw valid but not sound, and then valid and sound. And here we are. Finito. Let me take Clement's question. Go ahead, Clement. Adam. Well done, everyone. Clement, go ahead. Irama Dobe, go ahead.
Madam, please, I wanted to ask, what is the difference between hypothetical syllogism and a fallacy of modus ponens?
Hypothetical has universals throughout. That's the difference. Don't even go further. Look at it very well. That's what I said. Hypothetical syllogism has all. Modus anything, whether the fallacy or whatever, will have just one of its statement being all. The others are particular statement. Kofi, Kwame, Kojo, X, particular. But hypothetical syllogism will have all these have done that, and all that have done that. Therefore, all this have done that. That's one sure sign before you look at for the other patterns. Okay.
Okay, thank you, madam.
Most welcome. Tiffany, let's take your question. Nyankubia Asari, okay. Tiffany, go ahead. Hey, Tiffany, recording. We don't want it to be too lengthy. Okay, let's take Mabel Agolo. Lady Mabel, go ahead. It's your question. I see 6 hands up. Please, I'm calling the names. If it's a question, Isaac Oposu does it. Ask your question quickly, please. Iramadogo, your hand is still up. Are you sorted?
Yes, please.
Good. So keep it down for me. Thank you. There's an ID. I'm struggling. So you have an ID, but your hand is up. Go ahead. I don't want to mention your ID. So go ahead, please. Unmute and ask. You are all muted. So can you unmute, my dear friend? Ask your question. If it is a question. Isaac, your hand is back up. I don't want to brush you aside, though. So ask and let's end.
Okay, madam. So my question is, Absu is a thief. All thieves are. Oh, no. My question is, Absu is a thief. All thieves will die early. Therefore, Absu will die early. Is it hypothetical syllogism?
Please, what's your answer? How can it be hypothetical? You are mentioning specific names. I said hypothetical has all. You just said only one statement without an all. All thieves have done so and so and so. So it can't be hypothetical. You see that? Please, you say it yourself, say. Yeah. Can you hear me? Isaac? Isaac, can you hear me, please?
Rando.
Where is Isaac? I want to end the video, but I don't want to take you off like that. So let's round it up for you. Isaac, I said your question is a very good one. It looks to me like modus ponens. I just wanted to hear it again. But it could never be hypothetical anything because you started with a particular name, specific. Then the next one said, all so and so have done so. There was only one statement that had the nature of an all statement. So it couldn't be a hypothetical syllogism at all. We won't even consider that. But if it's hypothetical, the hypothetical syllogism pattern starts from what? All something has done something. The next one says, all something has done something again. Then the conclusion even says, all something have done something. So if it's hypothetical, they will be what? All. It is not specific. It's not Kofi. So if I say all men are mortal, Kofi is a man. I have left hypothetical syllogism free because after the all men are mortal, the next premise says Kofi is something. Hypothetical won't say that. After saying all men are mortal, it will say all mortal people do something else. Therefore, all men do something else. That is the pattern that will qualify as hypothetical syllogism. Okay. Maybe I go look. Your hand is still up. Tiffany, Yankobia Asari, okay. Your hand is still up. 10:35, 3-2, the last two are yours. I don't want to mention it. Your hand is still up. Okay, so Clement, I don't know. Tiffany, you are in. You are in. Ask your question quickly, please.
Doc, please, my question has been answered, sis. Okay.
Excellent. Well done. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm happy I waited.
Thank
Sometimes it's network, so if you just brush people up like that, it's not fair. Then the last one, Yankobia Asari, please, are you there?
Yes, she said my question has been answered.
Oh, okay, you Midas. Then let's drop your hand now.
Okay.
There's a last hand.
Thank you.
Most welcome. They will take say 1095. I don't want to mention your ID. Okay, so I wait a little. 1095, 32. If your hand has gone up again, okay, it was a mistake. Fine. My friend who has an ID and is still on, we have to end now. I'm entering to the next class. If it is bothering you that much, kindly send me a message. Not on WhatsApp, though. I won't be able to address it, but send it by email. I'll look at it. Okay. God willing, next week we are engaging Unit 7. Then, I don't know, I hope that we are able to do even the Unit 7 before you have to write your IA. I just pray it is so. If so, you should be studying that content ahead because it will be captured in your midsem, the IA, okay? But I'm going to work on fine-tuned slides for you. The dossier at the resource 2 has a recording on Unit 7 for all groups, which will be our focus for question and answers. It is even my own recording for the groups. The Unit 6 was done by another colleague, Unit 9 by another colleague. So it didn't save us the trouble. Go there, copy the link, paste into a browser, and munch at it like something, because that is what we will use to grade you. I'll still prepare slides to help your quick revision. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful week. And may all that you do succeed as you work hard. God, your friends, God give you grace to excel. Okay, take care and all the best.
Amen.